Welcome back to AgriTalk as we kick off our 2011 Farm Progress Show preview series brought to you by Syngenta. We are in Decatur, Illinois at the Farm Progress Show site. We'll be here several times during the course of the year. Hopefully it'll be drier and warmer at some point when we're here. Craig Abell joins us now, Technical Support Representative for Syngenta. He covers Central Illinois for Syngenta. Craig, good to see you again. And you and I were just talking. It's wet, and farmers would like to be out in the fields, but it somehow feels like it ought to be later than it is. I mean, it is still April, so it's not like we're way behind. It just somehow it feels later than that.
Yeah, well, first of all, good morning, and it's always happy to be here. But yeah, you're exactly right. As we look at the calendar, we still have a lot of good days left on the calendar. But it seems like it's later, and the weather has everybody pretty nervous. But things are going to get better. I mean, we have looking at the long-term forecast. Thursday, Friday is going to be clear, and it seems like this weather front's going to move through, and hopefully we can have some good drying days.
Couple of situations. One, of course, there's concern if you don't have anything planted, although in some cases that might be a relief too, because the other part of that scenario, some corn in the ground that farmers are now wondering about because it's been laying in very wet, cool soil for quite some time.
Yeah, I think the number that's kicked around right now is about 9% of the corn is planted in Illinois. We had a pretty good run earlier in the month, and that is going to be a concern as we look at a seedling that's in waterlogged soils, what we would call field capacity. There's going to be very little oxygen there, and long term, some of those fields will have to be replanted, especially where we have prolonged ponding and that sort of thing. So that's going to be something that we're going to have to deal with as it dries up. So may not be as bad off if you still have your seed in the barn. You may be time and money ahead.
We see some corn up in places, but there's a lot of standing water, as you said. Nitrogen loss is going to be a concern.
That's going to be a huge concern, and that's going to be one thing that we'll have to factor and monitor as the season goes on. That's something we still have the ability to fix. We can do some post-applied or post-lay-by or side-dress nitrogen. There's some other opportunities to be able to do that and kind of rescue and help that crop along if we get in a situation where it seems like we may be deficient.
Of course, there's also the situation when you feel that you're behind anyway, and each day goes by you do get a little more behind. So when you are able to get out there, you want to make up as much time as possible. You can get in too big a hurry, can't you?
Well, yeah, and that's really a message today is two things. Number one is not to make any knee-jerk reactions. Don't push the envelope, because if we go and we till wet soil or we plant into wet soil, that will cause us problems as we get into June and July. I saw it last year in several situations, so we want to make sure the soil is right before we do tillage. And the other thing is not to take any shortcuts at this point in time. This crop's going to be worth a tremendous amount of money. We have a tremendous opportunity, so let's stick to our plan. Let's utilize residual herbicides to manage weeds, manage weed resistance, and keep those at robust rates. And also we want to make timely post applications as well. So products like Lexar and Lumax will give us a good burn down, good residual control, and help us maintain the value of the crop. And at the same time, if we plan a fungicide application, we want to stick to those plans, because a crop that's planted 2 weeks later is still going to be susceptible to weeds and also diseases, and we have to make sure we maximize the return on our investment.
As you cover your area in Central Illinois, are you seeing conditions pretty uniform, wet and cool, or much variance in your area?
I was over the weekend. I was in the southern tip of Illinois, and I've been as far north as Peoria, and we are at field capacity all the way across the state. The soils are saturated, and then anywhere we're close to a creek or river, those are out of their banks as well. So we've got a lot of drying days ahead of us yet. So.
Which becomes a challenge. Can you get enough drying days in a row? But the frustrating thing is about the time you get close, the next rain system comes through. Some rain here in this area just last night.
Yeah, I live in Mahomet, 25 minutes away. I had 1.5 inches on saturated soils. But, again, the take-home message is we look at university recommendations. I read an article from Purdue and also the University of Illinois looking at historical planting dates and optimum yields. And we are still in that late April, early May window where we can maximize the return and maximize our yield. So we're not out of the woods, but we still have a lot of opportunity left with this crop.
If it's still like this in a couple of weeks, then it's a little different situation. But right now, we still have time.
Oh, you're exactly right. I think it's a good time to stick to the plan, and the important thing is to do it right and not push the envelope. That's the biggest message today, really.
Fortunately, we have the products and the technology and the equipment, of course, really help us get things done in a short period of time and take care of whatever the conditions are.
You're exactly right. And then, as we look at the genetics that are available today, we look at historical planting date and yields. Well, the genetics we have today are a lot more tolerant to adverse weather conditions, adverse pest conditions, and again, we can still achieve a maximum yield with maybe a week or two later planting.
As a farmer told me this weekend, this business isn't for the faint of heart. You just got to hang in there, and it'll turn around eventually.
Oh yeah, well, if it was easy, everybody would want to do it, So that's a good opportunity to utilize your expertise and make us a high quality, high yielding crop. So,
thanks, Craig.
Thank you very much.
Craig Abell, Technical Support Representative for Syngenta. And again, our Farm Progress Show preview series brought to you by Syngenta. And also the next segment coming up, we're going to make a presentation to the Central Illinois Food Bank, part of the Weeding Out Hunger campaign that Syngenta has had going for a while, and we're very proud to be a part of it. Stay with us on AgriTalk.